whoa, whoa, whoa. This time, should be able to. It'll take a moment, but oh, this time the game is ticking. It does. Okay. Already purifying it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's just time is still. Um, hmm. Sure, I'll accept that. Very I will decline from far away. That to be practical. Um, Local sailor modifiers far better. This should. Oh god damn it! They unified. Now I need 250. How much is this? A lot. Felt. Let's keep. Apparently, I need to produce way more. Let's start construction. Done at some point. Well, it's a real shame. Listo unified. Well, they always do. So many more ships. Might be good. Mine right just or right with what I'm doing anyway. I will actually take that. Mostly. Up. Actually. I see why it gets more. I do need to ship. So. That cheaper. Ugh, the fleet is getting very expensive. Fair enough. Makes sense how much I'm going over the fleet limit, but otherwise I can't do the mission. Let's just pick them out. Got a permanent claim on the door. bad for the Navy tradition. But okay, let's blob up and kill them off. Okay, let me. No. I guess just taking this would. Well, we'll have to go back, but it's not like I can take all of it anyway. Saw it, but keep with the Naga. Apparently, those. Yeah, that means not currently in production have been cancelled. Yeah, that fleet maintenance is insane. That mission is insane to be fair. I guess it's much more doable if Kisto hasn't formed yet. Quickly, I've not managed to do much things quickly. Anything. Oh, that global settler increase completely useless. Everything's already been settled. But 300th Empire was a naval-based empire. Its capital was located on the island of the Arctic, near the very same spire that's now half submerged. Guns again. 15 development. Workshop. Place workshop. Then it needs to have quite delete. Let's build. Uh, First just get naval invasion off. Need more invasion and oh my god, they have fortified that up to hell, eh? Let's start with the naval invasion over there. Wait, it is, but it is that fortunate. Oh, I've already. May as well put two in that. Okay, yeah. Quickly half this. Like, it's already way too much. Yeah, I should have just done that the moment I finished the mission. Go build Sunny. Yeah, that that is fine. Get another. right at home. Okay. Ensure safe passage, and then off we go. Grab the cash. Oh, there's the interest. Start repaying larger loans. I've got manpower to spare. Okay. The hardest question for the Naga to answer regarding the historical 100, 333rd and 333 empires is not one of many very silly stories of past empires. It is of an empire that did not count as one of the 333rd empire, quite clearly being an empire. The Cardassian Empire was formed around 500 Ash after Ash and reached its height in the year 740. Its decline began with the crushing defeat to Catarata, but at the height of its powers, it controlled stretches from Kunukulu to western or western. And none of the reasons given for why Karask did not count hold up to any scrutiny. Technically, the 332nd Empire still existed at the time with Zerat, but there were many previous empires active at once. Most egregiously, 214th and 219th Empire. Not controlling all of Tanias does not matter either, as there have been empires that didn't control one blade of grass in the traditional lizard folk homeland, yet there are still held to count. The most common reason is the lack of approval of other lizard folk as an empire due to their attacks, most notably when they blew up the Khatalashya. Well, uh, Naga had almost no power within Krasket. Apparently, I also don't get to do anything with. Or a modifier that says I would get options to get rid of the debuff for a cost. I've so far not had any option. I'll just take Faith Theory. Main important part is I areas. that one is done. But still need to upgrade anything. Getting more. Let's see if they get there in time. If not, affiliate. Yeah, it's a super. Okay. Yeah, it'll be fine. Except for Berrigan, I'm threatening. But even with that though, get a bit more cash in. Imperialism. Pretty good. Do I do it like this? Yes, I'll wait till the month tick. That means they won't coalition. And it should still be enough for. Are they? Uh, yep, there we go. Did it want it forward? They culture converted it. Oh, that is awful. Well, this one was this. Leave these here. 330th Empire It was in a great city that now rests underwater. The story goes that the emperor conducted an arcane ritual out of the middle of the ocean, and in doing so angered residents of the deepest underwater trenches. Roosevelt invaded not just Talias but the entire continent, with Divenhold to Ardemia. In an event known as the Onslaught, the devils sank many of their island cities to the bottom of the sea. Maybe semi-aquatic, but they cannot live in an underwater city. Cities where merfolk are ruinable. 5 years. Hypening at the Wargol guys around. Have it save 5 years. First land. Luckily, what I'm about to take correct. They actually have troops there. Oh, I need to be. But I will get the capacity. first get some armies. The loans are going down. Good. By that path, is that fast? I do not. Let's wait until. Sporting. Huh. Oh, but they are like okay. Aside from that. Sure, why not? Get in there. Okay. They are at war. Hey, yoink. But stuff that I need is this E10 war. We're okay. Heck. Heck. Just requires a lot of cash. I Oh, well, yeah, I can't name. Why are those keep joining and leaving? Kind of. Yay. Oh. This. How long will red? Wait, I don't right now. Captain Power. They're not being prepared at all. Oh, because if they don't have if you can make it back. There. One moment. Take the capital and tell you what I'll just take those. Won't take because castle that region. I will take this one because like it's there. Then that for the spice and that for the will need action. 4 5. Those are chords that will save port. Uh, then build the workshop and then the Koreans walk my land. How long will this? Quite a while. I need to convert it back to its original culture. You go rest. It'll take a while before I've got enough to get back. A lot of money. Almost got rid of all the loans. Oh yeah, it was good. Oh. If you can get this at the way. Only one ocean. probably at least a leader. Damn, they spanned out troops fast. That's the most civilization recovered from the ruin of the First Empire. Importance is by its presence on our flag, representing. Yet the last time anyone spoke with or heard from the around thousands of years ago during the 318th Empire, and all it did then was bless a local Chokan realm. Killed during the Green Blight, a terrible period when dragons and lies in the stars, was issue. Local unrest, technology cost massively. For those upgrades, years of separatism. Theory that merfolk are runeborn has grown amongst merfolk society, although its doing only triggered yet more blowback. Merfolk societies are typically not eager to share any internal struggles with those above land. We have gathered that there are entire villages worth of merfolk ready to leave for fear of prosecution for their belief of runeborn, ready to give them a new home. Ooh, they're not in a still haven't. Okay, they're really getting a lot of troops back. They were very low a moment ago. Our mill tech cavalry, but I think my fire damage and way there's small amount of cavalry shock. I probably need to upgrade my forts at some point, especially the crucial ones. Okay, they've arrived. Ooh. Let's just that. That's that's annoying. I really was hoping. Picking on it as well, which means yeah, they're still getting more troops back. Get these. Done. Oh god, they only retreat there. Arrived just too slow if I arrived slightly earlier. Crown. Now, as long as they don't immediately do another 21%. Oh god. Really? I need this much? Just do a slog of map. Still seem to. Somehow they're gaining more? At like an alarming rate. Oh, those are the islands. Yeah, that gives Oracle again. Morale of army. Oh, yeah. Provinces? Wait. Oh! I just checked. Noticed. Is it one of the did you know ones? The little messages? Is that what you saw? I've got a couple of those, and they're all stupid. I think a very small of them are amount of them are like actual uh little factoids, and most of them are jokes. Like they're like one of the first things I've made. Like just that little thing with the random did you knows, and I have not updated it in a while. I keep thinking I'll add more to make the jokes even more obscure. Uh, oh, a chump maybe. They're like I can't say a much, but I feel like that one is very generic masculine. But I've not done the deep dive. I've only copied someone else's copy pasta. Ooh, dating skeletons. Saga are new, very recently. Hmm, that is annoying. Will increase it. It anyone would need. How big is? I feel like I shouldn't be even asking this, but considering it's a horse, because like the if I remember in the full copy pasta about the Vaporeon, it is also about uh that its size is relatively appropriate for humans, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say a horse probably isn't. Um, like it is like a small horse. The problem is, horses have a very large, um, like penis to body ratio. Um, like if you ever seen one like just out in the wild, you tell like it's it's very insanely large. Uh, fair, but how often is that gonna be actually pleasurable? Somehow, I doubt that it would be. Although there are probably people who would enjoy. Um, it's just that. Uh, like, I don't see horses every day, but I live in an area where there's a amount of horses just about. Um, but yeah, just if you uh ever see it, it's quite a thing. It's always really funny um when people aren't aware and they just see a horse piss. Because people tend to get quite shocked. Which I don't know, just an animal. Can't really expect an animal to live up to human. I mistimed that. I saw a sea gent and I thought it was the other one. Oops. Um, am I moving to the? Oh, I am. God, they're still at like the same amount of manpower. He's pushing for any amount of decent, a decent amount of provinces might be quite difficult. That province I definitely need because it directly links me to more, so I can finish them. Wait, I didn't realize they were doing that. Um, okay, well, oh, if they're fierce negotiator, okay. I'll just get the things that allow me to lock in Yaselmora. Um, there is the Forbidden Plains, is a large area over here that is quite steppe-like. To this, I don't know how to pronounce that. Has steppes. And this is the desert, but they're the Jad, the guys that I was fighting, are um very horse focused. Start with like an army that is just pure uh cavalry. Am I losing? Oh, because the army is. Yeah, fair enough. They start like over here, get one war that immediately unifies most of this region, and then they're incentivized to conquer over there and down here, and they do just go everywhere. Usually, the nation that gets more seen as like as oppressive is the command, though it's not doing that well this time. But they tend to they start with owning most of this and have super militarized. They are very central. Um, like Bulwar is very clearly the Middle East inspired region. They do go there. Yes, the Dungeon Rush over here is like very India inspired. This is supposed to be like the Chinese region. Is significantly smaller. They're like uh more like Chinese warlords. Start of the game. How far did you get? Because the at least the modern command has a lot of disasters. Okay, yeah, the command nowadays has like mission tree, uh like a lot of unique mechanics, like that they need to keep mages in check. Um oh yeah, a few years ago, a lot of the command stuff is more recent. Especially the disasters, because it turned out people didn't like how strong the command was. So I remember back in the day, like really far back, when uh like these two continents weren't in, and like neither was the Forbidden Plains or most of Sarhal. The command would just start with that region, would have one way of expanding, start as the largest tag on the map, and would just consistently expand all the way to Bulwar. Like that around when I started playing Anbennar, which they were very oppressive on the map. It was always just like, how close is uh, the command was like one of the main things you'd look at to see how far we're in a campaign. Oh wait, I just realized I'm losing a lot of money because I am losing faith in prophecy. Um, I either need to wait until I can. First, this. Uh, so it depends. I think certain nations are like a lot easier. Um, like for example, Busilar starts in a position where they're like mostly surrounded by mountains, so you can relatively easily pick up the main mechanics again if you do want to check Anbennar while playing. They have some access to the basic Anbennar mechanics, but for the rest, they don't do much. Their mission tree is also a really old one, so it just is relatively simple, like the old EU actual mission trees, where it's just like go and conquer some stuff, take these colonies. So I think they're like a relatively good starter nation. Corvuria is also relatively straightforward one. They start as like a relatively strong tag in the region. Uh, I, they do have vampires as unique mechanics, which does get more complicated, but it's like an extra step to get to see more. Uh, then rest. Um, so it depends. It has similar problems like playing in New World in EU4, where unless you have like a very decent grasp of the game mechanics, the colonialist nations will just eventually show up and might just be relatively strong compared to you. Um, on the other hand, certain regions, like one over here, like I can't currently see it because I've covered it, but this already starts as its own thing, so it's more normal gameplay until eventually you start colonizing stuff. Um, I'm trying to figure stuff where stuff is on the map without seeing it. But the FLI region has a couple of tags that do a lot of migrating and then get some bonuses. Uh, Maybe the last time I have played in the New World in vanilla was when I played a game as the Mayas, like years ago. But like, uh, don't think anything in Umbaddar's New World is anywhere near as bad as vanilla. Um, how it's called, like the vanilla natives that migrate. I don't think anything is as bad as that. It's a shame because they are interesting. Because it's like I think they create the most interesting what if scenarios, but I do understand that the game is not um like it is very Eurocentric. Like they have stepped to be fair, except for like their buffs. The Incas apparently are you can have fun with them, but like a lot of the things as natives just have a very um high skill floor that you need to have at the game to not just get stomped. And I think that is like the main problem it has. Because unless you play relatively optimally, yeah, it's just a lot of it is weak. So yeah, if I, for example, one of my friends recently did an Inca campaign, and I know that they play it because it's like, um, you do, I think, as the Incas, if you get far enough into the mission tree, you do get the best. units. They're like high American. Aztec's mechanic is I I don't super like Doom. It's kind of finicky. But with the Incas and I think the Aztecs, late in their mission tree, they can get the high American tech tree, um, which gives you really strong units. Uh, but for the rest, I don't think they give all that much. Which, unless you specifically just want to do it, any New World nation, I thought they were like locked. But I say this as someone who has not played vanilla in a while. I just really like the sheer amount of content, like in Anbennar, that is just unique. Oh god, really? All of you? It's like the base um things, if I'm right, are actually quite weak. So having to conquer Europe, who has okay, fine, fair enough. Like in general, if I remember right, Europe does have some of like the yeah. Also, just Europe has some of the like I think except for High American, they've just got the best tech, like Western Europe, and they tend to be ahead of tech, unlike a lot of other places. But they're just really bad. Anatolian? Not like just Western Europe. Fair. Yeah, Western. I think at the end is just outright the bad manpower. Wait, this does. I was really hoping that was going to. Okay, it does increase faith. Appearing out of the great city of Sarah. Better than Western. Awesome, possibly. Um, on the other hand, Western Europe tends to get almost all the institutions, so they're going to be ahead of tech anyway, which is also just annoying. Uh, province, but repair the fire. Uh, yeah, yeah. The problem is the chance that you get like high American at like Tech 3. Well, the I think that literally only happens in fantasy random new worlds and converted saves. Otherwise, I think at Tech 3 it's nigh impossible to have high American. Yeah, fair enough. Western starts with like what, 2 or 3 pips to start with. Like it is pretty bad at the beginning. Ah, I guess it is just. I guess the Ottomans, for a lot of the time, are like supposed to be the big bad to rival everyone, which the Jadari definitely fall into that category as well. They very much are, which I do. I am very much aware that it it has also caused a lot of issues in like the Europa Universalis forums because people got very racist very quick, which the gameplay does kind of incentivize that you get really antagonistically against them, which uh well people took a bit too far. I think it was like a couple of years ago where Paradox basically went, okay, we're now done with the was it remove kebab jokes was like the really common one, and they were just decided to just ban everyone who made those jokes. Um, to this. Before prime release of your worship of the Arthur, I believe in creator gods. Hello, Crystal Astral Terror. Territorial. Hubris, we believed that the final empire would be immune. Examine the movement of the constellation and zooming the tracks it back to Tanayas to tell of our case. The observations in Ras and Odu Ras have been destroyed, torn down by their own occupants, driven mad by the skies. Speaking of something that was watching them back, not the Thraxes though, something else. Something always out of field of view, something watching us. Yet that did not occur to those of at the island's observatory. Instead of gazing through the telescope, they looked at the sea itself, using its reflection to gaze at the stars. The idea that this would solve astral terror was mocked. After all, telescopes too use reflections, as they are simply a series of lenses and mirrors. Perhaps this was not the reflections as that saved us, but the arcerai of the water in the water. Whatever the reason, it must be studied further. Okay, so those get a bunch of devastation. That's a pretty good tech cost reduction and more faith. Uh, mm, Serbia's, yeah, maybe. I think it is like a problem that they very much are still very hung up on. Yeah, they're still very hung up on reclaiming territory of Yugoslavia, which means they act relatively aggressively to the nations around them, which means people tend to dislike that. Um, that adds Serbians online tend to be very nationalistic and sometimes a little bit racist, which doesn't help their public image. What's a version of strength? I think Hungary um, is more like the upper costs of like a lot of nations tend to, at least within the EU, probably don't like Hungary because Hungary is well, sometimes a bit too busy sabotaging uh like the EU. The problem is you can't. It's really hard to kick them out um because you need every other nation to agree. Like they clearly want some of the benefits of the EU because I wanted to say who wouldn't, but apparently it is quite a popular statement to think that the EU is bad, which I don't know, having a powerful bloc that actually allows all the nations of Europe to actually project power outwards is quite useful. Um, but yeah, so they clearly want the benefit because the benefits are just really good. But then they don't want to pay into stuff. They don't want to take the European values and generally prefer to sabotage uh, unified. Just a weird situation. Um, but they can't get rid of Hungary because every other European nation would need to agree, and um, especially Poland has always been clear that they did not want that. Although, as far as I'm aware, uh, since the invasion of Ukraine, Poland has come less hard on their uh, buddy with Hungary. Probably because Poland, the Polish seem to be very pro Ukraine, and Hungary not so much. Uh, but yeah, they just can't get rid of Hungary because unless everyone agrees, they can't kick them out of the union. And because the way the European Union works, Hungary just on their own, as long as they're in the EU, can just constantly stop everything, which is uh yeah. To be fair, Poland is uh mostly just very anti Russian, which considering their history, fair. And defending Ukraine is seen as like the clear anti Russian stance. And they believe that they're also in danger, which fair enough. It's also the reason why I think in NATO, Poland is like one that actually is paying into it the most relatively of their GDP. Um, which is kind of funny because every so often I'll see a post of an American even claiming that they're paying for Poland's defense, even though per capita Poland is, or per part of their GDP, Poland is paying more than America is for the NATO defense. I think one of the problems America just has with a lot of those things is their education is really bad. And for some reason, it is a very controversial topic to actually pay for education. It's it's sad, and I do hope uh they'll get the opportunity to prove that someday. But that day is probably not for a while. Dear. Kellen wants an enlighten. Hmm. Considering I've got a claim on them, I'm gonna say no. Uh, yeah, it is very feelings based. Uh, which, to be fair, most politics is. Uh, but because there's really only ever two options, right? In general, people will vote uh, based upon what they fear least, and that means fear is the primary um like factor where people vote on, and that means that there is very little room for facts, because if you're already fearing one side and they state facts, your fear of that side is significantly more likely to decide whether you agree with it rather than um, actually looking into it yourself. Which means you can say very, very basic statements or cite studies, and then they go, wait, but do those studies align with my side or your side? And that is that immediately shuts down any form of like empiricism. It's it's sad. Um, I wish it wasn't that way, but it's kind of innate in any form of hard two-party system. They're probably going to be stuck in that for a while. I don't see them changing that. Yeah, barricade has been stand behind it. Worried this empire is to last for eternity. Uh, a believer in the prophecy. My fear is that we may be doing bring that end. Are we about to end eternity? Uh, what? Wait, but that is Seattle. Like, I understand them getting stuff wildly wrong about like a different continent, but guess I guess some people. Oh, let me guess. It's someone who thoroughly believes that those protesters, yeah, okay, destroyed the city. Once Kate entered such a question, no longer gives her up, but over a calm sea. The sky was a deep navy blue, with a few twinkling lights, but for one section of the sky, there hovered an inky black dot with a ring of blinding light it around its perimeter. It looked like the opposite of the sun, a darkness so deep it reflected the very concept of light. The first to step foot outside the spire was a guard who had entered with the Emperor, gingerly poking at the dark soul before stepping out. Prue prodded the ground with the butt of his sword before stepping in. Another guard followed, then one of the craftspeople, and finally, Emperor Gernit it one. Beneath his feet shifted a fine dark sand like the beaches of Pavanosi. He stepped into the sea, letting the water wash calmly around his feet. He stood there motionless as his eyes adjusted to the dark sky. What should he call it? Ramutha, dark sun in lizard folk. It was peaceful. My emperor, come here quick. We're going to try to reactivate the Saria. The head engineer stood just outside the water and gestured furiously at Chernit 1. He contemplated rejecting the call. There were no Naga in his ear here, driving him to constantly improve. Here, on Ramutha, there was just the sound of the waves. But he did not. He stepped out of the water, through the doors of the spire, and turned the handle as before. The same lights, the same gears, the same stars all sparkled, till through the doors one gazed out over the two lakes that flanked Zerat. Granite One stepped out of the spire, tracking dark sands into the courtyard as attendants and Nagas rushed to his side and squinted at the blinding light of. Uh, anyway, now I can probably actually overwhelmingly, yeah, that that very much does not align with what they want to believe, so they just don't believe it, which is it tends to be the same people that believed that January 6th was not a crime. Um, I don't know, man. Trying to invade, uh, like invade the seat of the government. I don't know. Feels like a crime. Yeah, I would love to say that the answer is just show undeniable proof of like statistics and everything, but that just doesn't work. Um, that just puts them on the defense. Summon the Thraxes. That's a lot of text. Oh, there's always so much text. As the light in the night sky talking and he's full as the Thraxi, the thousands of stars sank from the heavens. As each one reached the ground, it would join its brethren and spin together faster and faster as each Thraxi joined the throng. More and more lights joined its rank center of the whirring mass, shining as bright as the sun itself, and then, with one brilliant flash of light, it stopped above the crowd, symbol of eternity, the Thraxis. Uh, to the most resplendent of beings, he was called off by a voice that resembled like a million voices all speaking. Hello there, how nice of you to see for us. It's been time since we last spoke to you. One like yourself, tell us. What is it you wish to know? The voice was simultaneously comforting and terrifying, like a million unspeakable terrors tucking you into bed. The Emperor stuttered and stammered, realizing he was not prepared for this. What can you tell us? How old are you? The Thraxis swirled in place for almost a full minute before it finally responded. We are older than time. We were here before you, before dragons, before genies, before the skies and seas and the lands and all beyond. Your question is difficult for us to answer, as to have an age, we must have a birth date and time. That is something we do not possess. Thraxis spun in place for another minute before. We enjoyed this visit very much. Do feel free to contact us again if you have more questions. We will be. But at the moment, light from the sun spilled out of the jungle, and each star of the Thraxis faded, and before anyone knew what was going on, it was gone. Uh, uh, very nesting cove. Yeah, I've got the island. Not an island, not Turgut back, not. Okay. Well, that will require me to. Where is Navitas? Southeastern. Like, science communications is like generally quite interesting. Um, at least to me, where they do need to actually see find how do you communicate science to someone who does not want to see. Um, well, so far there's not really a clear answer. I imagine it there probably won't ever be a like fully clear answer. But I do hope that there is um a way. Most of admin tech, I think I'll wait until I can get global trade done. Actually, imperialism. Imperialism is good. Hmm. In the context of this game, it's a good war goal. I'll not be taken out of context. It is very warm. Like I am just slowly cooking where I am, which normally I usually take the heat quite well, but when it remains this oppressive for that long, it's hard. And I culture Elden Ring monument. Wait, which one? Oh, the tree. Now I know that this tree came out before Shadow of the Earth tree. I think somehow got after added after Elden Ring, but I don't think it's directly inspired. Uh, it is. It's a nice. Like I like the art as well. Um, good reading. If I want to do that, I do want to do it in the desert folk song. I might do it between sessions because then I can actually because there is like the dictionary thing, Anbennar, that I could look up. I'll see if I can find a fun one for that. Why is that's very cheap? I should um. Okay, I need my. They are pretty good. Oh, the Threx's return. Now, this seems like a bug. I feel like this should have been one. Uh, like it's generally a pretty good one. Um, I don't always grab it. Uh, Mostly because some of the other modifiers give like more direct buffs. Uh, but it's definitely just a worthwhile one to have, especially because as you are very likely to get it if you have any other Visa there, and of course if you're not the lizard folk. Summon the diet, the mages can just have one where they say fire that advisor and they give you one of these. Um, it's a very easy one to do. So the one downside is it doesn't give a very small move, but it's worthwhile. Um, the other one's money sometimes is better. What is chocken? I A most delightful creature. Um, we did wonder when it was that you would ask about it. It can be difficult for us to tell one lizard folk from another most times, but we always know when we are speaking to a new person when you ask about a chocan. For every lizard folk eventually inquires about their kind. Um, Praxis continued speaking. Their usual long pauses. The chocan have been here as long as you have. They have thrived as you have, suffered when you have, risen and fallen as your people. We do not understand why so many speak of them with disdain, or why they do not feature more prominently on your emblems. Uh, while we are quite humbled to have placed our form on your flag, we would have thought no creature had a greater bond with your kind than Chokan. Perhaps it is so part of your society that you consider it part of this great empire you built. We hope that is how you see it. For uh, care for the Chokan is to care for yourself. The Chokan are funny. Like you have this vassal, the waypointing thing, Chokan. But just every description of the Chokan, just that they're incredibly dumb, and I love them. Like that they can literally stand in a swamp and not notice that they're actively drowning. um, what happened to the Shadow Swamp? That's a very broad question you ask of us. For the Shadow Swamp has been many inhabitants who contracted the curse from the Night Hags, are the ones whose city and ancient spire sank into the fog. Toy makers who made delightful wooden chocolate. Remy, say something on the board. Stop talking, as there are some tumult exclamation questions. The head speaker stood up and demanded the crowd settle down before turning to Thraxis. Her initial question was indeed about those cursed by the Night Hags, but in doing so, you have revealed something we wish to learn much more about. A million voices could. Each carving was about half the size of a normal chocolate and was intended to be used by new hatchlings. They were coated in a special oil so that the children would not get splinters. And apologies, a wise and venerable one, but it was not the chocolate carving that interested them. The sunken spire you spoke of. Of course, we would love to learn about the chocolate carvers afterwards. The speaker heard, he added, noticing the light that made up the million stars of the Thraxis had started to dim. But we were not aware of a spire in the Shadow Swamp. Such a thing would be an incredible find if we could locate it. Uh, Offered chocolate carvings. Each one was painted ever so slightly different. Change over time. Well, but I'm gonna guess it's over there. It's on the map. Will I ever get games on that? Yes. They want me to do it that way. Do I still? Two, but that's nearly done. So we send um, an army over, try and conquer some more over region. patriarch is now. Local development cost minus 40 is pretty good. Area, then region, and a better version by region. I just realized I spent money again while trying to get money for this. Overextension. The next one. So that is upgrade that one twice. Which is the only thing I need. This one, which further, this will require me to own up. Is their default. I could give them the monopoly. They just. I'm very glad they're doing a rework. Because right now they just have way too few actual things to get their loyalty up. Um. Oh, first one is by this island. Um. I will actually send that loan. Oh, I. Why am I like this? I just wanted to do the thing. That may be a bit much. But someone else has already done it. Well, I'm already ahead of time. get transfer power. They're like fully on that island now. Take care of them in a because these provinces have closed. Which does remind me now that those are welcome. That just means there's more trade power. They don't super need those as core provinces. No, those are the next level of force. Oh, powerful mage. I'm gonna blow those off. What is my absolute? Probably really low, actually. They have a lot of. No, it's actually more creation cost. So I need those provinces, but declaring war upon them. Have any allies outside Catarata, but I've allied those. Never scroll down. Oh, military advisor. Then, um, or the Shadow Swamp. They need to culture convert and everything. It's very cheap though. All right. Are they willing to do? Just not. Okay, so it wants bunch of power, increase that, so I get strong faith. Finally. Let's try to take care of them. Oh no, urban gunners, one banner ready. I don't super rate that. Just getting that to be more expensive is not actually all that good. Let's first back home. Then I think soon declare war upon these guys and then Eka to get that worth it? I've already got a lot of missionary strength. Oh. Crime is crime. Uh, else this? So, Genie Folk 1 requires down knuckle reach. We'll need to either go to them or RG. This will be doable. Won't do it. First one again. Oops, I placed that one. I will not be paying them. Get that one over there. First deal with Eka, and then I'll see about doing Pearl's Edge. I probably will do that next week because that's gonna take a while. Um, oh yeah, I was thought about that. Was to put troops there for the colonization effort. Only 9. Kalakmangi is much more important than that. They do have way more troops. I'll just peace out when I can get that. I don't care about the rest of their land. Why did those become exiled? I, I guess I lost access midway while they were going through it. Weird. Southeast Thailand here. Or don't do that. That seems bad. Catalan. Their capital. Okay, and solve that. No, it doesn't take long, but I prioritize scoring. I'll just see. Perf. That up. There we go. But oops. Okay, I need a little bit of cash. And these are muffs. What are humans? What are people? Are the gods real? Yes. Apparently. There was a long pause as the lizard folk waited for the Thraxis to elaborate, but it appeared to believe the single word answer was sufficient. Eventually, one did ask. So that means Rakadrakt and Nagakatesh are indeed real? What about non lizard folk? Fenorian gods like Castellos or Eleket? The gods of the humans, Katarata, are they indeed fake? There was another long pause before the Thraxis spoke again. We cannot speak to any individual god. It is easy for us to lose track of who or what gets called a god. Dragons have been worshipped as gods, elves too, angels, demons. Even we have been worshipped as a god before. Their stories change over time, and we struggle to keep track of truth from myth. We struggle with the evolution of stories over the passage of time, as time does not have meaning to it. What is now a god may have once been a demon or a dragon or a normal lizard folk, or have simply been a fanciful tale. The crowd murmured and shuffled in their seats, the murmuring growing and louder as neighbors grew animated in their disagreements with each other. Before finally the Thraxis spoke again. We would advise you not to worry about the reality of your gods or any other. Believe in what you have created, for that is very real. Look upon what stories you told, what cities you built, and what art you created. Everything fades, well, everything but us. But those stories can last and carry your legacy. The very last, we shall remember your story. Missionary strength. Decent. Well, I already have a lot. Wait, but those regiments didn't disappear. I kind of expected them to. Okay, I'll build their army, end that war, and that is probably where I will end it for today. Then next week, oh, actually, I know their vassal. It's still bad, but it's not the entire empire. um, but I'll see about how I invade into that region next week. Now, uh, next them and can't core the central part. But I will save there. And then I will be back next week to continue this and probably try and take out Pearl's Edge. I accidentally click autosave. I'll just normally I'd save it with the dates. Makes it easier for me to remember. Um, and let's see. There is someone else playing Anbennar, so I will send you over there. So yeah, I'll be back next week, Tuesday for more another Krebs treasure, and then Wednesday with more. Um, well then, for now, bye bye. I misclicked twice.